Hi everyone, Bindu here from Crafty Meraki. Before we start with today's projects, I want to share with you the Crafty Meraki website, and I want to show you how easy it is to find things on our website. So on our website, you click on collections, and that brings you to this page where you can see that all the brands that we carry are listed here in alphabetical order. Not only are the brands listed, but as you can see, dyes, distress inks, basically categories, ink cubes, inks, they're listed by brands as well as by categories. So say you're looking for distress inks, you can just go directly to distress inks and buy the distress inks that you're looking for. Oh, and what's this here today? We have a special collection created that has all the products that I'm going to be using in today's demo. So it's clearly called SSBE Demo Products. So you can just go to collections, find SSBE Demo Products, and you can just shop for all the products that I'm going to be using in today's demo. I will also give you the link to the collection, so it's easier to find that way as well. Be sure to check out the blog section of the website as well, because the design team shares daily inspiration in this section. In addition to the pictures of their projects, the design team also shares the process that they use to create that card. For today's projects, we're going to be using Karin Markers and make 5-minute watercolor cards. I am going to be making 2 cards, one using this Altenew Paint a Flower Peonia Japonica stamp set. This is part of their Paint a Flower series. They come out with a new Paint a Flower every month. The second stamp I'm going to be using today is also by Altenew, and it's called Festive Floral Frame. This is it has some holiday sentiments on it, holiday season. Hope you have a fun and festive holiday season, a jolly holly, an amazing holiday season. So this is actually a holiday themed stamp set, but I think we can use this stamp set and make just an everyday card. I think what I really like about this stamp set is this floral image that is like a frame, and it's just perfect on its own. I like stamp sets like these that are all in one. I don't have to do any masking. I don't have to do any building of my bouquet. It's there, it's ready, and all I have to do is just stamp it and color or use whatever technique I want, and I'm done for my card front. So we're going to be using these 2 stamp set, like I said, and I am also going to be using my trusty Karin Markers, my favorite coloring medium. I did a demo with Karin Markers on SSBE a while ago, but I thought it would be fun to revisit the Karin Markers once again. I'm going to be using just these 4 colors. This one is sky blue, canary, violet blue, and magenta red. I am a fan of using just a few colors to get a rainbow look. You probably have seen me demoing rainbow cards using just 3 colors of distress ink reinkers. So I'm going to be doing the same thing today. We're going to be using these 4 markers, and everything that I'm using today is going to be linked in the SSBE demo collection. So all you have to do is just go to that one section of the website, and you'll be able to find all the products that I'm using today for my demo. So again, like I said, I'm using these 4 Karin markers. I have my water jar here that I always keep on hand. I have my watercolor brush. I also have my secret ingredient. This is regular kitchen saran wrap, shrink wrap, whatever you want to call it. This is just regular shrink wrap that I have. I'm going to share a fun technique using shrink wrap and Karin markers today. So I have my shrink wrap. You could also use stamp packaging for this technique, and I'll show you how to do that with the stamp packaging. You can see I still have this stamp packaging. I use the stamp packaging for a whole bunch of things, and this is probably for another day. But for today, I'm going to show you how to use your Karin markers and your stamp packaging to get a fun look with your coloring. So I have my trusty 𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐿 make art station here, which, as you all probably know by now, I use this for literally everything. And I stamped and heat embossed these two images from these two stamp sets like I showed earlier. One is from this Peonia Japonica and the other one is the Festive Floral. All I did was off camera, I just stamped with an embossing ink and I heat set it. I applied gilded embossing powder from Brutus Monroe and I just heat set it. For the other floral image, the floral bunch, I don't think you can see it. Maybe you can now. So I used the alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, the white embossing powder. And I just same thing. I just heat embossed my image onto a watercolor cardstock. So both of these are watercolor cardstocks. I want to mention that because we are going to be using some water misting, and I do not want to use the regular cardstock for watercolor techniques or for Karin markers. If I was just simply going to color on my paper, like with any other markers, that would be okay. But for our technique for today, you really want to make sure you use watercolor cardstock. So like I said, all I did was I heat embossed both my images onto watercolor cardstock, and I have these panels pre-cut to slightly smaller than an A2 because I like to leave a border around my card front. So I'll show you here. This is an A2 stash that I have from my stash, and you can see here I leave a little bit of a border on my cardstock here, just so that when I mount it, it turns out to be this beautiful border. So this is cut, these two panels are cut to 4 by 5 1/4. Like I said, so this way I can get a nice border on my card front. All right, so let's get started with our technique. So I just have a white scrap piece of paper here so you can see what I'm doing. It may not be very visible if I do it directly on the Make Art Station. So all I'm doing is I'm starting with my red, which is the magenta red Karin marker. And I am literally just putting my pen to the plastic. All I'm doing is I'm just scribbling. So I'm starting with the red. Next, I'm going to go with the yellow, and I'm not going to actually touch these two. I'm trying not to get red on my yellow marker. So I'm going to get a bunch of yellow ink. And then I'm going to get some blue going here. So here's the blue. I'm going to make sure I have a good amount of blue. So for now, I'm going to start off with these 3 colors. What I'm doing, there you can see this better here. But now I'm going to take my Nuvo Light Mist spray bottle. And what I'm really doing is I'm going to kind of hold it off maybe about a foot away. Maybe you can see better there. And I'm just going to mist there, you can see the water droplets. I'm just going to mist it lightly. And I am also going to lightly mist this card front panel here. And I'll show you when we actually get to it why I'm doing this, but I'm going to lightly mist my panel as well. And you see, this is why I'm using watercolor cardstock, because of all the water, the amount of water that I have on here. So I have my sheet of plastic and I have the panel, which are both moist, and I'm just gonna put it there, and I am just gonna go there. You see, all I'm doing is I'm just literally pressing down, and I'm trying to get the water to move. So here is where the magic happens, and this is why I added water on both the plastic as well as the paper. Because this is a watercolor cardstock, I can afford to have a ton of water, and I know that nothing's going to happen to my cardstock. But if this was regular paper cardstock, I would not be misting it so heavily. However, now that we have it misted, let me show you here. I can still get the water to move. That's trapped between the plastic and the paper, so I can get it to move like I want. So let's say I want more green. I can try to push the blue. See how that's green's pulling up over here? So this is why I like to add a ton of water to my panel and the plastic. And now let me lift it off. There you go. That's where the magic happens. Now you see this extra kind of greenish, murky, muddy, that's muddiness that's happening. I'm just going to take my, this is a dry paper towel, and I'm just going to take that, and I'm just going to lift off all this muddiness that I don't want on my card. And there you go. That's it. That's all you have to do. How easy was that? Look at that panel. It looks like you spent a whole bunch of time. Now, you can go back again and you can repeat the process. So I'm going to wipe off my mess here, and then I'm going to go back here. I will try to repeat the process. If you do, all you'll do is essentially you will add layers. Once this panel dries, you can go back and add another layer on top of this layer to give you kind of more movement, that natural watercolor movement that you'll get. So if I do anything here right now, it may not look as great, but once this dries, we can always go back and add more color to the top to make it even more, to give it even more texture actually. So once this dries, this pool, this little bit of pooling here that we see will give beautiful texture once this panel dries. So while that first panel over there is drying, I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna make kind of a similar effect on this other cardstock that I have with the white floral embossed image. There you can see the white embossing. So for this one, I thought it would be fun to just use these blues and purples. The blue and purple are kind of, I don't know, they're just on my mind right now. I think maybe I saw them somewhere or something and I wanted to try this color combination out for myself. So I'm using sky blue and violet blue. I might bring in a little bit of yellow for the leaf area, but we'll see how this plays out. So for now, I'm using these two blue and violet blue, sky blue and violet blue colors. And I think for this one, I want to use the saran wrap, like I was saying earlier. You could use the saran wrap for this, or you could use the plastic like we did for that other card. But let's try and see what the saran wrap does. So I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm going to go with my blue marker first, and then I'm going to go with my purple marker, and I'm going to try to overlap the two by marker. Because this is a darker color ink, I'm not afraid of bringing that to the blue. I probably would not bring blue to the purple just because I don't want to contaminate the blue, the light blue nib. I think even if you do by chance get one color on another, you can just take a scratch piece of paper and scribble it off on the paper so that you don't, you can actually just scribble it off and you can just hopefully get the ink off. I have never tried it, but I know people do that. Okay, so back to our technique here. I have my blue and my purple mix, and we're gonna do the same thing like we did last time. I'm just gonna spritz a little bit of water on this saran wrap, And I'm going to get this other sheet of paper out of here. And I'm also going to spritz water on my cardstock panel itself, just because this way I get a lot of movement in the water. So again, I'm using my tonic light mist spray bottle, and I spritzed it maybe a couple of times. The trick here is the more water you have, the more movement you get, but at the same time, the more water you have, the less control you have on what your results are going to look like. So just think about that when you add water. But in general, I think maybe a couple of spritzes of water would be pretty decent. So here I am taking my saran wrap and I'm just going to put it on, and I am simply going to get the water to move like we did the last time. And you can see that I just simply, I'm dabbing it on. I'm gonna let the water soak. I'm just gonna make it so that it kind of absorbs. And next, I'm going to carefully, I'm gonna put my magnets on here so that the paper doesn't move. And I am going to quickly peel off, and there you go. Look, we just used these two colors, and look at that panel right there. Look how gorgeous that is. I might go back. I purposely left out this area with the leaves here. I thought about maybe going back with the yellow to add some greens, but now that I'm looking at it, there's still all this water that we had previously on the shrink wrap here. I am going to I kind of accidentally dropped it on there, but I still like the look of it. Look how gorgeous that looks. So I am actually going to go one more time, and look, that's it. All I did was I took this excess that's on here and I just dabbed it on. That is really all there is to this. So if you're like me and you love the look of watercolor, but you don't necessarily feel like you want a watercolor, this is a great way. Look how easy, look how amazing the end result is. So I'm going to set this to dry a little bit, and I'm going to come back with this other panel, which we did a few minutes ago, and this is kind of dry now. If you wanted to, you could go back on this panel with another layer like I was talking about. Once the first layer dries, you can always go back and add another layer. I might try to do that. So let's see what we can do. I want to show you something really quick here. I know that I showed you two different ways. One is this one, which we did first with the stamp packaging. Like I was saying, this is relatively stiffer compared to the saran wrap. So this is a stiff piece of plastic. The reason why I wanted to show you both is to show you the difference between the looks that you get using two different mediums to do the same technique. So with this one, you can see that it is very muted. There's a lot of movement going on, but it's very muted. Like you can see there's a little bit of yellow, there's a little bit of kind of mixing in here. And for the most part, you can see there isn't a lot of organic movement like there is here with the water. The reason for that being that the saran wrap allows the water to move even more freely. And so that's why you get all of this natural watercolored look with the saran wrap. Whereas this one, there's nothing wrong with this. Again, it's just a matter of personal preference. And that's why I wanted to show you both techniques, both methods, because you will get different results. If you like this method, perfect, then go for this. If you like this one, the look of how the water is really moving, and it looks like you spent hours watercoloring this. So if you like this look, then perfect. This to me has, except for these little bits of pooling here, this to me looks almost like it's ink blended background. You know, if you were to use distress inks and if you were to just blend the background, this to me looks more like that. It's a little bit more, that's why I call it a little bit more muted. Whereas this one, you see all that movement and the water, and it just gives you a little bit more of a watercolor look. So again, depending on the look you're going for, you can go either with the stamp packaging or with the saran wrap. And again, like I said, you can always go back in and add more layers to either panel. They both will work because this is, again, like I said, it's watercolor cardstock. So this is perfectly fine. You can go on and add more layers to this. So like I said, I like the look of the watercolor, and that's why what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add another layer on top of this. But this time I'm going to use saran wrap, and I'm going to try to make another layer on top of this. But I'll use the same colors just so that we don't introduce more craziness. So all I'm doing is I'm going to use a new one just to be sure that I'm not getting any cross-contamination. So I'm just going to use a new piece of saran wrap here. And I'm going to go back to our colors that we used on this panel, which are these three: red, blue, and canary yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the red. I'm going to go to the yellow next. And I'm not actually going to bring, like I said, I don't want to contaminate the tip. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of gap there. And here I'm going to bring my blue in, and that's it. I'm not overlapping the colors anywhere. All I'm doing is I'm just adding the colors. And now I'm going to bring the the light spray mist, and I'm just going to spritz it lightly. I'm going to get this paper out of the way, and I'm going to set this aside for a second. I'm also going to mist just lightly, just once. I'm going to mist it. I don't know if you can see, but I'm just going to mist it. I just did a couple of spritzes there. And now I am going to bring my saran wrap directly over top of this. So I'm adding another layer on top of this panel. Now I'm gonna quickly peel it off, and there we go. So that's our first panel. So I'm going to set this other one off to dry for a minute, and I'm coming back to the second panel, which is not fully dry yet, but there's that gorgeous watercolor look here. I am going to add one more layer to this as well. So I'm going to bring out my purple and blue shades, and I'm just going to use those two shades. So I'm going to start with the blue on the top. I know you can't see, but I'm just scribbling the blue marker. And here I'm going to bring the purple marker, and I'm going to actually even overlap the two here for a second. So here, hopefully you can see, that's all I have. I have the blue and the purple. And I am going to mist. So there's already a little bit of water here, and it's not completely dry. So what I'm going to do something different. I am just going to add, I'm not misting the watercolor panel here. I'm just misting the saran wrap. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it, and I'm just going to tap with my fingers. I'm going to try to get some movement between the blue and the purple so there's no sharp line, and I'm just going to try to dab and maybe blend it a little bit with my finger. And that's it. I'm going to leave this be, and I'm gonna come back to it once this panel dries out. While those two panels are drying, I thought I would show you some of these other Paint a Flower sets by Altenew. These traditionally are meant for people who love coloring, Copics and watercolors and Karin Markers, you name it. Traditionally, they're actually meant for, paint a flower. But who says that this isn't painting what we're doing today, right? So I thought it would be fun to show you all the stamp sets that you could try this technique with. So this one is the iris. It comes with this, again, I think the blue and purple would be amazing with the iris stamp set that we did today. There's the mums, reds and yellows and oranges would look amazing with this one. Again, sunflower, same thing, red, yellow, orange would look amazing with this Paint a Flower sunflower. The next one is carnations. This would also look amazing with some pinks or purples or reds even. It would look amazing. This is 𝐒𝐭 lily, Paint a Flower 𝐒𝐭 lily. I think this would be great with just pops of purple. It would be amazing to try this technique with the 𝐒𝐭 lily. And this is a camellia. I think traditionally they're like pinkish flowers, but you know me, I'm a rainbow person all the way. I would probably paint this rainbow if I was to try this. Here is Paint a Flower rose. I'm really itching to try this technique with the rose. Maybe I'll do another demo with this rose, Paint a Flower rose set, but this would look amazing. I don't think you can go wrong with any colors on the rose set here. Next is the tulip set. Again, I don't think you could go wrong with any color on the tulips, reds, yellows, pinks. I think there are some purple tulips too. I think I've seen some purple tulips, but again, I don't think you could go wrong with any colors. The last stamp set I want to share from Altenew is this Paint a Flower poppy. Traditionally, again, I think I've only seen red poppies, but there's pink ones, there's some purple ones too, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would definitely try red, pink, purple, even blue probably with the poppies. Like I said, they may or may not exist in nature, but my philosophy is I'm coloring them. This is my masterpiece, so I'm just going to use whatever color I feel like that day, right? So again, here are all the gorgeous Paint a Flower sets. I would encourage you to try this technique with any of the flower sets that I've shared today. If you have some in your stash, go for it. Just try it out and see which one you like the best. So here are all the Paint a Flower sets. I'm going to bring back our panels here. This is the first panel that we did. I had shared how it looked very muted and almost like an ink blended background before, but you see adding more color with the saran wrap, what that does is it gives you a lot of that organic texture to this panel. Now, here's the second panel. I think this is really my favorite, the blue and the purple. This is not completely dry yet, but it's got a lot of that texture. Like I was saying, you get very different results based on what medium you use, what kind of plastic you use. Originally, I was only going to demo this with the saran wrap, but I wanted to show you the difference between the two, whether you use a saran wrap versus the plastic from the stamp packaging. Like I said, nothing wrong with either. You choose whichever one you like. Like I said, this is your masterpiece, so go for it. You cannot go wrong. This is, your masterpiece, your art. So, either one, pick a medium of your choice and go for it. This was so easy. You saw me do this, get this look within 5 minutes. So I would encourage you to give this a try. And now for the best part. For the show special today, you can take 15% off of the entire SSBE demo collection. So like I said, go to craftymeraki.com, go for collections, and under collections, you will see SSBE demo products. And any product in that collection, you can take 15% off using code SSBE-June21. Here's another look at my finished projects. I hope you enjoyed the demo today, and I hope you will give this technique a try. I will see you all again soon with another project. Until then, stay happy, stay crafty. Bye!